Second topic that we will cover is what options do you have when you want to start your business, and what options you have when you want to start your business individually or as solo person. Now let's discuss about the options to start your business. All right, so let's discuss business structures and what options we have when we are starting solo. So, if you are starting your business individually, you have two options to start your business. You can start just by your own name as a sole proprietor, or you can even start your business as one person company. If you are running a family business and you have like an HUF of your family, if you're a Hindu family, and you have an HUF, you can even run your business like an HUF, and it will be taxed as a separate legal entity apart from you. These are the two options. We will explore and discuss about both the options, what's the difference, what's better, everything in a later part. But let's see, park it aside, that if you are starting as a solo person, I am starting my business, what options I have: a sole proprietor or one person company. So, what's the difference between sole proprietor versus a one person company? So, I have listed down certain points and I will be elaborating it here on all of these points. So, let's discuss about the first point that we have is ease of starting. So, ease of starting for a sole proprietor is like, today I decided to do a business, tomorrow I can just do it in my name. I don't have to do anything. It's as simple as that. I don't have to really do anything if I want to start a business in my own name. So, I am when I'm doing a business, I am the sole proprietor. The business is getting taxed in my name. I am everything about the business. And when you are doing a business as one person company, it is a separate legal entity that you have to incorporate. So you have to follow certain steps. You have to fill a form. You have to apply for a name before you get the license or the registration from MCA that you are now incorporated as a one person company, and this is how you can run your business. Also gives that one person company is not me. It is, although I am running the entity, I am running the business, I am the only person in my business, it is still a separate legal entity. It is still somebody else. I would not be required to file my return, or if somebody is suing the business, they are not suing me, they are suing the entity. Although I am only, for an OPC, I am only the person. So as such, I would be responsible as a director or as the person of, as a shareholder of the OPC. But at least I will, it will be a different entity. And what is the reason that OPC would be better than sole proprietor is the second point that I have here, which is liability. So basically, what does the liability mean? So if somebody is suing me for a liability that I have in my business, say I started my business, I took a loan from bank for 50 lakh of rupees. My business went bust. I don't have any asset in the business. I spent all the money in the marketing. I didn't follow the steps that we discussed in day 1 and day 2, and my product was not being accepted by public. All the money that I spent on getting the inventory, making the inventory, and putting my product out, we went haywire. I could not get anything from the stock that I have for my business. Now the creditors to whom I have to pay, they are following me, they are following up with me, and I have to pay the money, and they are putting a case on me, right? So if I am working as a sole proprietor, I have to personally sell my personal assets and pay them. But if I'm a one person company and I have which is a separate legal entity, I have bought it in the company's name. The company has lost all its fund. The creditors cannot come and sue me personally unless there is a forged transaction that I have done this deliberately in the company and siphoned off all the money in my account. So there is like an element of fraud which you have to prove that you have not done that. You have to prove that you have not done any frauds, and the intention was not to not pay them back. The money has been lost for any fault reason. So you have to think on these points from the beginning when you are starting, so that you can save yourself if something were to happen at a later point of time. The third thing that is really important between the two are the way taxation works. So as you all know, for as an individual, our taxation works based on different slab rates, right? So if my income is more than 2.5 lakh rupees, I would be 10%. I would be paying tax at the rate of 10%. If it is more than 5 lakh rupees or up to 5 lakh, I don't even have to pay tax. Beyond 5 lakh rupees, I have to pay tax at 20%, or if I'm earning more than 10 lakh rupees, I have to pay tax at 30%. And there is a new tax regime where I have to pay tax on 30% if my total income crosses 15 lakh rupees. Now, there are other things and other strategies which we will discuss in day 5 with related to these numbers and how you will be taxed as a business owner and other things. But if you incorporate as a company, what we generally assume that the companies are taxed at 30%, which is not right. So companies also currently have 3 different tax rates. Your company might even have a tax rate at 15% if you are a manufacturing company incorporated after so and so. So if you are incorporating a company now, an OPC is actually a part of a company, and you are running a manufacturing business. That means you are taking raw materials, processing it, and putting it out as a different product. It's called manufacturing. Only you will be taxed only at 15% and not more. If you are not a manufacturing company, say you're trading, you're a service provider, or any other company, then you have a different tax structure like 22% and 25%. So that is assuming that your turnover is less than 450 crores, which are the companies which enjoys 25%. So we are just assuming that 25% would be the slab rate applicable for the companies who are watching this video. Who should go for sole proprietor or OPC from the standpoint of taxation? If you think that your net income is more than 10 lakh rupees, so as an individual you will be taxed at 30%, but as an OPC you will be taxed at 22%. So you are saving 8% of your earnings straight away just by choosing a different structure with respect to taxation. So taxation are such a big part of our life, we cannot really ignore it, and as women we don't really understand it. And this is the part that I understand really well, and I will do my best to explain to you in very simple and plain terms. So just to give you a comparison, that 10 lakh rupees 8%, what we are talking about is 80,000 rupees, right? It's not a small amount to ignore. So if you can save 80,000 rupees, you can do so much in your business. So then you have to choose it properly, which way you want to go, as a sole proprietor or as an OPC. Now when we come to compliance, so compliance is basically you have to, if you are a legal entity, you have to comply with the registrar that under which you are also registered. So a company or an LLP are registered under the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. If they are giving you that you are a part of MCA, and it's kind of giving you a higher status, that we will make sure that the way people perceive you would be better than how they would perceive a sole proprietor. You have to do certain compliances. So at the end of every year you will have to update your balance sheet, P&L, get them audited as a company, file your annual returns with MCA. So there is an additional compliance cost that you might have to pay, but you are saving on your taxation, you are saving on your future liability that you might have to pay. You're saving your personal assets from your business. So that's a very small cost of running it into a separate entity, which is basically your compliance costs. But if you don't pay attention properly in the beginning, and if you don't have intention to grow your business, I have seen many entrepreneurs making this mistake that they go ahead and incorporate a private limited company, and after 3 years or even a limited liability partnership, they don't even run the business that they intended to, and they have to dissolve the company after 2 or 3 years. So here, for everything that you want to do with the company or an LLP, comes with a cost and comes with a lot of it's not that easy to shut it down. So the exit is not that easy here. You have to you have to again file different forms to shut down the entity and things like that. So the compliance cost is something that you need to keep in mind, and you get into these kind of companies only if you are like really serious about them. Growth. So up till now, as a sole proprietor, you can grow your business, but once you grow it, then you have to pay attention to securing your own asset. You have to pay attention to that. What if somebody is suing you? When you don't have anything, you don't have to care about losing anything. But when you start building your own wealth, you have to also start thinking about protecting your own personal wealth, so that you cannot give away. So growth for a sole proprietor is not that good. But now, with the changes in budget 2021, growth of an OPC can go on for a really long time. So earlier, the laws were such that if you cross a turnover of 2 crore rupees for a continuous period of 3 years, you had to compulsorily convert it into a private limited company. But now that requirement have been done away with. You can continue as OPC for as long as possible, which actually has made this option so lucrative that you can continue to be an OPC, have a separate legal entity, protect your asset, pay lower taxation with a little bit of compliance cost, but you have there is no upside for you to growth. Now, lastly, succession. Business actually dies with the sole proprietor. There is no succession plan here unless you put out a will that my business should be continued by so and so person. So the liabilities that you have, if you are running a business and you pass away in the middle of running your business, and you have certain liabilities, just like how the asset goes to your legal heir, your liabilities also goes to legal heir. So you have to make sure that if you have if you are running a business as sole proprietor, you have a will, you have something in place so that you are even protecting your family from any liability that you are having. I know, I can understand that it can get really overwhelming to get all of these things in place. So I have actually prepared a checklist which will give you all the steps that you need to take, and you can actually check off when you're starting a checklist. So you can go ahead to my website and download this checklist, and it will help you where with all the steps that we have discussed that you need to take as a small business owner while you are starting up, so that you don't miss a small step, and the repercussions of missing any registration that is applicable to you are like really harsh. You have to pay penalty even for non-registration as well. So you have to save your cost on interest and penalties, and comply with all the things that we've discussed today. So with this, bye bye. See you tomorrow.